about to see is beyond belief. It is a story of survival, development, and prosperity for a man who could have easily become a stutterer, but he didn't. His name is Igor Vinogradov. Today, he's 31 years old. 20 years ago, Russian television reported the news of a terrible accident that happened to him when he was only 7. A nasty dog attacked the boy, leaving only pieces of meat and bones on his face. Recently, I came across his interview with a popular Russian blogger in which grown-up Igor talked about the tragedy, recovery, and the twists and turns that befell him. Fate hit Igor mercilessly, but the young man didn't break. I contacted Igor, inviting him to be a guest on my YouTube channel. As a former speech therapist and currently a teacher of standard speech for people who stutter, I was incredibly impressed by how beautifully this man with severely disfigured face spoke. We talked in Russian. Then I translated our conversation into English using my voice for myself and an AI voice for Igor. However, at the beginning of the interview, you will hear Igor speak a couple of sentences in English and German. Judge his amazing speech mastery for yourself. Enjoy watching this motivational video, and don't forget, give me a like.
Hello, my name is Igor. I'm 31 years old and I'm from Russia and I live in a small city.
I can speak a little English.
Great! What other language do you speak?
German. I speak it like a native.
Auf Deutsch spreche ich auch und zwar ganz gut, weil ich ging ja zu der deutschen Schule und ich lebte 11 Jahre lang in Deutschland.
When I switch languages, I sometimes confuse Russian words with German ones.
Igor, your unusual life story is well known to millions of Russians. Thank you very much for coming to tell it to my English-speaking viewers. So, what happened to you on that horrible day that divided your life into before and after?
Until this day, I grew up in an ordinary family with my parents and siblings and just started attending first grade at school. I was only 7 years old when a large dog attacked me and bit me so badly that it almost resulted in death.
The dog ate your entire face, leaving no skin or flesh on your skull, right?
Yeah.
This is exactly what interested me in you, because I've been helping people who stutter quickly and permanently get rid of their speech difficulties for over 40 years. Please help me understand how you managed to restore your ideal oral speech after losing all speech muscles except the tongue. What happened when the ambulance brought you to the emergency room?
At first, they tried to stabilize me because I had lost a lot of blood and was already in a coma. They gave me a blood transfusion, stopped the bleeding, and stabilized my condition. After some time, my parents decided to start doing plastic surgeries to restore at least some semblance of the face that I had lost.
How long were you in a coma?
About a month.
That is, the 7-year-old boy was unconscious for a whole month. Do you remember the moment when you came out of the coma?
I just remember crowds of doctors around me. They were constantly examining me and discussing something among themselves. I remember that I was all wrapped in bandages. I was like a mummy, my face, head, neck, and shoulders.
Why do you wear an eye patch?
Because my eye was also damaged and there was a retinal detachment. Since it is not covered by the eyelid, the mucous membrane dries from bright light and hurts. Therefore, I have to wear an eye patch so that the eye is in the dark.
Do you remember the first time you attempted to say something?
I don't know. It certainly wasn't right away. The first few weeks after I came out of the coma, I didn't talk at all. My physical condition was practically at zero. When I came out of the coma, I could not only not speak, but even walk. I had to learn to walk like little children do. All the muscles of the body had atrophied.
When did you attempt to speak for the first time, but couldn't do it clearly because you no longer had your lips?
It was almost a month later. For the first 2 weeks, I was coming to my senses psychologically, trying to understand and accept the situation I found myself in.
And who was helping you?
At that time, my mother was constantly with me. She communicated with me periodically, looked after me, fed me, and gave me water.
Water? How could you drink anything if you had no lips?
I drank through a straw.
So they poured liquid into your mouth and you swallowed it?
No,
Then how?
the most important thing for every human is the tongue. It helps people a lot, even if you don't have lips, and it's difficult for you to say some sounds clearly. You can adapt your tongue to do this. You'll need to do some practical work to learn this new skill.
So your mother was talking to you and you were trying to answer her as best you could, right?
Yes, I communicated with gestures. It often happened that I was given a notebook and I wrote down what I needed. That is, I used written speech at first, and then somehow it happened by itself that I began to pronounce words. At first they were incomprehensible, but gradually they sounded clearer and clearer, and eventually I began to speak the same way as everyone else around me.
Did I understand correctly that you started speaking before all the plastic surgeries shaping your face?
Yes,
So you immediately began to adapt to speaking only with the tongue, without lips, right?
yes.
How unclear was your speech? Was it easy for people to understand you?
I don't remember. I never thought about it. Most likely, at first I was difficult to understand, since I was then redeveloping my speech skills like a small child. People around me probably guessed what I wanted to tell them, but how incomprehensible my speech was, I don't know.
Has anyone ever told you that you speak unintelligibly?
No, on the contrary, my mother praised me for my successes. She told me, "Well done, you started talking. That means you're getting well."
When did you realize that you had difficulty speaking? Did you even have such a realization at all?
Even if it did, it was fleeting because I am the kind of person who doesn't dwell on difficulties. Whether it's a problem with speech or walking, it doesn't matter to me. I realize it when I feel some discomfort for a split second, but then I say to myself, oh well, it's not a big deal. I'll solve this problem somehow now. I don't dwell on it. I mean, yes, there is a problem, but it's not that big.
In other words, you say, here is a problem, let me solve it.
Yes, that's right.
How much did you interact with people back then?
At first, I didn't communicate with anyone except my family. I wasn't allowed to go outside, and I spent several years locked up in my house.
How much time a day did you spend communicating with your parents, not just answering yes or no to their questions, but talking about different topics, discussing something?
It all depended on how much free time my parents had. They worked all day long. I only saw them late at night and on weekends.
Since you were homeschooled, you probably had a teacher come to your home, right?
Yeah,
That was also an opportunity to communicate.
it was not so much of communication, but teaching. The teacher would come and immediately start talking about the lesson's topic.
Well, if it was, for example, a history, geography, or literature lesson, then you had to speak there.
Yes, that happened, although they didn't burden me much with studying.
I'm trying to follow how you developed your speech. It's not enough to only observe other people speak. It's crucial to mimic them, repeating the words many times with your speech organ.
After the accident in Russia, I lived without leaving my house for several years before I had the opportunity to go out and communicate with other people. When I moved to Germany, I immediately began communicating with everyone without knowing German. At first, German doctors examined me and performed surgeries on me, but as soon as all the medical manipulations were over, my parents began to think about my further development and education, so they enrolled me in a regular German school. In addition, I attended German courses after school several days a week. I often hang out with my peers. In the area where I lived then, there were many Russian-speaking teenagers. I communicated with them, gradually immersing myself in society and mastering my speech in German.
Your mother brought you to Germany. German surgeons shaped parts of your face, covering them with skin. How did these numerous operations go?
It was a plastic skin graft. They cut pieces of skin from certain areas of my body and sewed them where needed. The skin cells have taken root, and new skin cells began to grow on my face.
Yes, and as far as I understand, it happens that the skin does not always take root the first time.
Yes, there were unsuccessful attempts, and the surgery had to be redone.
However, this didn't stop you, and you continued to undergo surgery after surgery. How many surgeries did you undergo in total?
I had more than 15 surgeries, each of which lasted several hours.
German surgeons spent several years shaping your face. After they finished their work, you went to a regular German school. How was your life there?
At first, everything was fine. My classmates accepted me, but then it all became too ordinary. You know, people get used to those they see every day, or to the unusual, which becomes ordinary. So no one pays attention to you anymore. No one notices that you have a disability or that you are different in some way. You can be bullied like anyone else if someone doesn't like what you said or did. So I got into different situations. Most children are cruel because they don't understand yet what is good and what is bad.
I remember in one interview you said that you ended up in hospital with a concussion after getting into a fight, not being afraid that you might get hit in the face.
Yes, there was such a thing. I don't deny it. This is already a manifestation of my character.
It was your character that saved you.
I'm used to fighting back. I'm not a crybaby at all.
Yes, it's noticeable. You are definitely a person of strong spirit. I wonder how you reacted to the surprised, frightened looks of strangers when you first went out on the street back in Russia. I'm sure they stared at you mentally saying, "Oh my God, who is this?" Has this happened?
Yes, something like that happened, but I was prepared for it in advance. It was a reaction not to my speech, but to how I looked. By that time, I was already speaking normally. My speech had fully recovered at home, away from prying eyes. When I first went outside, I already spoke like all ordinary people. But yes, strangers shied away from my appearance.
I see. So when you went to Germany, you already spoke well, right?
Yes, I spoke then as I do now.
Now I am interested in technical details because I am a specialist in standard speech. What did the surgeons do inside your mouth? You see, in any language there are sounds that people normally produce with their lips. You lost your lips when you were 7. How do you pronounce this sound? It's a mystery to me. How do you speak so clearly without lips?
The surgeons did nothing inside my mouth. As I said, the most important muscle in a person is their tongue. When you use it correctly, you speak as well as I do. Look at me. Even though my mother language is Russian, I learned to speak like a real German without an accent, and all because I learned the language from people. When you study from textbooks, you inevitably develop an accent because you pronounce words incorrectly. But when you communicate directly with a native speaker, you can ask him, "How do you pronounce this word? Where should the stress be?" He explains to you. You speak incorrectly. Listen to how this word should be pronounced, and here is where the stress falls. He shows you in practice. You look at him, listen, and imitate him, and then simply repeat this word exactly the same several times. Practice solves a lot.
You're right. When people complain, "I'm sick, I'm incurable, I stutter, I cannot speak," I want to shout, "Stop it! You have everything you need to speak like everyone else. You have not lost a single piece of your perfect speech organ. Just learn to use it like any ordinary person." Your example shows that even without speech muscles to pronounce such vocal melodies as ba, pa, ma, a person can hear and imitate their pronunciation with a tongue.
Exactly.
The tongue is the only organ we need for this.
All other muscles are auxiliary tools. You can achieve excellent results without them.
How do you manage to say ba? Ba is an unsticking sound. We usually make it when, while falling, our lower lip unsticks from the upper one.
This is how I pronounce this ba. Do you hear it?
Yes,
Did I manage to pronounce it correctly?
Yes.
Honestly, it is not easy for me. It's an effort to get this pronunciation. It feels as I'm sucking something in and then abruptly pushing it out with my tongue. I cannot explain it in detail.
You ideally make without the lips all the sounds that people usually produce with the lips. My mind exploded when I heard you speak for the first time. Well, this word also starts with the lip sound. Excellent work. So you pull in and then let go of a piece of your tongue, right?
Something like that. I can't explain it exactly. It just happens on its own.
So the surgeon didn't add anything inside your mouth to make you speak so well, right?
No, of course not. My gums, teeth, and tongue remain the same.
Amazing. How did your life develop after you left Germany and returned back to Russia?
At first, I had to restore my documents. When I left Russia, I was still a child. I did not have a state ID necessary for adult employment. Having received my documents, I began to think about how to live on and look for a job. But at that time, I lived in a small town where there were not enough jobs and the residents were not particularly friendly to disabled people. I constantly felt a biased attitude towards myself. I found a job on the internet, called the employer, and they scheduled an interview for me, saying, "Come tomorrow and bring your documents with you." But when they saw me, they looked at me as if I were some nonentity and said, "We are not looking for anyone. We do not need an employee at the moment. Goodbye."
Yes, you're right. At first, we do judge people by their appearance. But when individuals like you start talking, we immediately change our attitude towards them and become interested in their professional skills. By the way, everything happens exactly the opposite with stutterers, who look entirely normal. Most employers look at someone who stutters as a potential employee until this person opens their mouth and will unlikely select such a candidate for a job position. So I understand that despite everything, you were not afraid of any work and always found it.
Course, I must say that I am very grateful to my friends. Despite society's prejudice, I still found like-minded people and friends who saw that I was a good person and offered me various jobs. They often tried to talk me out of this or that job, warning me that it was too hard. But when I said, "I want this job," they responded, "Okay, I'll make arrangements to get you accepted." They trusted me, vouched for me, and everything worked perfectly. I worked in strenuous jobs. I was a roofer and a carpenter. My team had about 10 people. We repaired the roofs of very tall buildings.
It is so hard. It's just dust, dirt. How did you do it?
Everyone did their assigned job. Some worked with iron, some with wood. I was a carpenter and worked with wood. I also worked in various warehouses in the sorting center where all the parcels from all over the country flow and from where they are sent to addresses. I also had to work as a food delivery man, although not for very long. I even worked in a call center. I sat with a microphone in front of a computer and answered clients' questions, earning money with my speech.
You made a living with your tongue.
Yes, they even hired me to work there.
They hired you for speech work, even though you didn't have half your speech apparatus.
Yes, but the funny thing is that they didn't even know.
Of course, they didn't see you.
I applied online. We discussed everything over the phone, and I started working.
Good for you. People always get precisely what they want and do. We just need to choose useful desires and actions, because our harmful desires inevitably lead us to lousy results.
Yes, achieving what you want can be difficult, but if you don't give up and keep going, you will succeed.
Then why did you discontinue having surgeries to cover your teeth with artificial lips?
Because I almost died during my last operation. My heart stopped and they barely revived me. The doctors said I had too many operations and anesthesia. My heart was tired. They advised me to rest for at least the next 10 years.
Has it been 10 years since then?
Yes, but the situation has has changed. I will soon be 32. I have already gotten used to living with such a face and do not feel any obstacles to living and working like everyone else. I am already tired of endless hospitals and operations, which I spent almost my entire childhood on. I have missed so many interesting things in life. I just want to live for myself now.
So your appearance doesn't bother you now. You've gotten used to it and you no longer have the desire to do anything else with your face, right?
Yes, for me it's just a waste of time now. I want to live the second part of my life for myself.
What are your plans for the future?
I don't have any grand plans. I want to live like everyone else. I want to have a roof over my head. I want to have at least some kind of a job so that I can live independently. I'm ready to deliver food or carry boxes in a warehouse. It doesn't matter. It's money. The main thing is to have a job. After all, some people are sitting without jobs at all. I want to get married, start a family. I also have a desire to help people, to support them. Today, many people are depressed, disappointed in life, and do not understand what to do. I want to support them morally, serving as an example for them. Not everything is so bad in your life. Look at me, compare my past with how I live now. Understand that your life difficulties are not that bad.
In order to achieve something in life, you need to have a goal. You need to want something.
Yes, I agree.
Many of my viewers are people who stutter. They sit on the internet all day long and look for someone to cure their undeveloped speech with some kind of a miracle technique. Igor, you have never used any speech techniques in your life. You only had your tongue at your disposal, and you yourself, without anyone's help, learned to use it masterfully for perfect speech. Tell me, why didn't you whine and ask for help when you had difficulties with your speech?
I do not exclude the possibility that I could have become one of those who constantly seek outside help, but I did not become one because I was often told from early childhood, don't whine. I was brought up with this attitude, don't complain, just do it this way. And that's it.
It appears that when you found yourself in a difficult situation, your loved ones supported you not with useless pity, but directed you to specific actions, saying, no one can help you except yourself. So go ahead, act.
Yes, but all people are different. Someone can think about the goal, collect their thoughts, and realize, okay, I'll come to my senses now, take the necessary measures, and everything will be fine. But there are many people who do need direction. They need a landmark and someone who can direct them there. Sometimes, a person gets lost and needs someone to direct him, that's it. He doesn't need anything else. That's why I always say, don't despair. If you have tried to do something but still can't do it well, don't think that you are terminally ill or disabled. That's simply not true. If you can't find the strength in yourself to come to a certain result, then you just need someone to slightly push you in the right direction.
To push such a person, you need to give him truthful information in such a way that he understands everything correctly and starts acting correctly. As a teacher of standard speech, I do precisely this. When students step in my classroom, I point to their incorrect speech behavior so they can see that their actions are wrong. Then I demonstrate to them naturally correct speech behavior, which 100% guarantees ideal speech to anyone. I tell my students, observe how I speak and imitate precisely my speech actions with your speech organ. As soon as you start doing exactly what I show to you, you will also start talking like me and all other ordinary people. You didn't need advisors like me because your mother didn't pity you, saying, "Oh, my poor thing, you can't talk, rest, don't strain yourself with speaking." Yes, it was hard for you, but strangely enough, that's what helped you.
Yes, that's why I often think that maybe it's for the best that everything happened the way it did.
Did you enjoy my video? Then don't forget to give me a like. But most importantly, click on the link below the video and schedule a free consultation with me. If you're a person who stutters or you have a loved one who stutters, schedule your Zoom call with me and I will show you direction to your stutter-free life in only 3 days.